Hey guys, welcome back to the Project DIY channel. On today's project, we're going to change the dash speakers in my 2020 Rav4. Let's get started. The factory stereo in this Rav4 left a lot to be desired, and I've changed out a few things in the car to make it sound better. I changed out the factory head unit for this Toyota Android head unit, and I'll put a link to that up in the top right hand corner. I also added a subwoofer that fits in the spare tire, and I'll leave a link to that up in the top right hand corner. And now to the dash speakers. Now the factory speakers in this Rav4 sounded okay. They're not the JBL version. They're the basic speaker system and stereo that you get in a Rav4 when you buy it off the lot. So one of the issues is there's no high-end clarity. All of the cymbals and all the high-end stuff in music just sounds kind of flat. And so I'm going to replace these dash speakers, and I think that'll help out a lot. Now I'm going to be replacing these speakers with these JBL GX328s, and I got these from Amazon. I'll leave a link to them in the description. And these are 75 watt max power speakers. I'm not going to be hooking up an amplifier to them. I'm going to try them without it first. I may put an amplifier in here for the door speakers when I do those. So to get started on this, I'm going to be removing this cover on top of the speakers. There's one on each side. You can use a pry tool or a screwdriver. You just want to be careful not to scratch anything. Once I get those covers off, there's two 10mm bolts that hold the factory speakers in. I'll be pulling those out, taking the speakers out, unhooking the wiring harness, and on the new speakers there's some foam that comes with them. You put around the outside edge of them. Then I also have an adapter that will adapt to these speakers from the factory wiring harness. We'll pop that on, test them, make sure they work, bolt them in, put the cover back in, and we'll be done. Now I usually use a plastic pry tool, but I have misplaced mine and I'm not sure where it's at, so I'm going to use a screwdriver. And once again, be very careful. You don't want to scratch the speaker grills or mess up your dash. Just pull up on those. They have some little clips that pop in, and they just pop right off. There you can see the factory speaker. Alright, now we're going to get these 10mm bolts out. Not very tight at all. You want to be careful not drop anything down inside the dash. It's no man's land and you'll never get it out. So we get the bolts out. There's a little white clip around here on the side with a little push button on it. Let's see if I can hold the camera and get this off. Alright, I can't do it one-handed. Alright, I couldn't do that one-handed. This is the smallest factory speaker I have ever seen. No wonder these things don't sound very good. And that's just not anything. It's tiny. Oh well, we'll replace it. But with these factory speakers, you have just a small, tiny tweeter in the center. Just this part right here is the speaker. This over here is just plastic. With the JBL, you're going to get a 3.5-inch driver and a small tweeter in the center. So I think these are going to sound much better overall. Alright, to hook these up to the new speakers, I've got an adapter that I got from Amazon, and this is made by a company called Red Wolf, and it has the correct wiring for the other wires that are in the wiring harness, and then this plugs into the wiring harness. This plugs into your speaker. These speakers have two different size spade terminals on them, and the harness connector has two different sizes, one large, one small, so you can't get this wrong. Plug those onto those terminals, and now we'll plug the connector into the wiring harness. And this only goes one way, so you can't get this wrong. Once you have that plugged in, stuff it down inside the hole. Drop your speaker in. Put your screws back in. And once again, be careful, don't drop these down in there. They'll go down into who knows where. You'll never find them. Snug the bolts down. Pop your cover back on, like so, and there you have it. Now, these speakers came with some foam that you're supposed to put around the outside edge of the speaker, and that's supposed to cut down on rattles. However, these speakers only touch on the mounting tabs. The rest of this does not touch anything in there, so I don't think that's going to be necessary. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and get the other speaker put in. There's no need to film that. You've seen it once, you don't need to see it again. And then once we get it done, I'll come back and we'll test it out. Alright, got both sides installed. Let's test it out. These speakers sound much better than the factory speakers. The highs are real crisp and clear, and there's much more sound coming from those speakers than the small little bitty ones that were in there. Alright guys, there you go. There's how you install new dash speakers in your 2020 Rav4. I appreciate everybody watching. Thank you so much for all your comments on my other videos. Thank you for the likes. Those help me out, and I appreciate that. All the items that we used in this install will be down in the description. Go down there and you can find them. Everything I got came from Amazon, so I appreciate you guys watching. Please go down in the comments and leave me a comment. Let me know what you think of the speakers if you get them. Let me know if you have any issues, if you install any in yours. Hit the like button. And also, the last thing I need you to do is to watch this video.